Hello, hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Excuse me. Good evening, Mr. Roberts. We're gonna wait for Melanie to sign in, and she'll decide what to do from there.
Okay, cool. I'm traveling. I thought I forget today's meeting, but I'm traveling home. So if I get cut out, I'll just log back in. But don't worry, I'm here.
I'll let her know. Yes.
Great.
Hello. Yes. Greetings, everyone. This is Melanie Lewis. I seem to be having some technical difficulties,
Evening,
unfortunately.
everybody. It's Pamela Payne.
Awesome. Thanks so much to those of you that are joining us currently. I seem to be getting feedback. See what I can do about that. Sola, you feel seeing feedback on your end or hearing rather?
Yes, Melanie. It's probably one of your devices has the volume up and is picking up what you're speaking into your phone. So try lowering the volume on maybe another of your device. You're muted, Melanie.
Okay, I don't want us to take up too much time here. Good evening, everyone. Melanie Lewis, your chair, Community Board 9, Education Committee. Greetings and welcome to everyone. Thanks so much to those of you that are joining us for the first time and those of you that are here consistently monthly. We appreciate you. We thank you, and we are happy to have you with us. We're so excited for this special evening and definitely happy Women's Herstory Month. To all the women out there making a difference, past, present, and future. We're going to get right started with our agenda as it is 7:05, and we do usually give 5 minutes grace for each meeting that we have. So thanks so much to all of you once again. As usual, I'm going to ask everyone that has received the agenda to make sure that you do have it in front of you, as well as the minutes. We like to make sure that everyone is abreast to everything that is going on and that we have been doing. So I'm going to ask our very capable and our amazing new secretary, Maureen Ferry. If you're all set, let me know when you're all set with the agenda so that we can go forward. All set? Okay. No, not yet. Sorry. All right. So I'm going to ask for everyone to make sure that you have the minutes in front of you so that we can just review the last things that we had just went through on last month. And our Maureen Ferry is all set, and she is going to go through those minutes for us.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Good evening. I don't know if I'm that capable. I'm having trouble navigating everything, but I'll get there. So the minutes from last week, and Miss Lewis, do you want me to just like literally read through everything that happened, even though everybody has it?
Yes, we have some new folks, and we want to, let them know what we've been up to, as well as our superintendent that'll be joining us on today as well. So excited.
Amazing. All right. So last month rather, the board members who were present were Melanie Lewis, Beverly Newsom, and Dexter Roberts. And then community resident members were Sol Creary, Janelle Bazile Charles, and myself and Pamela Payne. And guests were there was one guest, and it was Sabrina J. Lewis, and the CB9 staff was Dante Arnwine. And Ms. Lewis called the meeting to order at 7:05, and we reviewed the committee meeting notes and then had a committee chair report. So the committee chair shared out about connecting with CEC 17 with a representative, and a map was sent by the Community Board 17 for review. And the committee also connected with District 17 and learned that they have an online presence that the committee and members of the public can now follow for upcoming events and community information. And we learned that a State of the District meeting was held in January, and an invitation has been extended to the superintendent for the March 22 committee meeting. And then also as a part of the committee chair report, NYC DOE grades K-12 they all received recent report cards and updated schedules. CUNY had their spring term, and there was an acknowledgement of the transitioning of Miss Judy Lewis, member of the first graduating class of MS61, graduated from Prospect Heights High School, attended Baruch College as one of the first to attend under the SEEK program, and served on the Parent Advisory Committee for Community Board 17. She was a major advocate for children of the Jackie Robinson School, and specifically advocated for equitable access to the building. And there was an acknowledgement of guests. There were open action items. We went through, there was a board, Sol Creary, an election rather. Sol Creary was installed as the vice chair. Hi, Sol. I was installed as secretary, and Janelle Bazil Charles was installed as treasurer. We went through the subcommittees, including the book giveaway, where we are with that, the spelling bee, our plans for Jackie Robinson Day, calendar items, and then we talked about new business. So the Brookings University, a community conversation, and also public school funding and needs. And then in the comment section, I spoke and talked about a virtual panel that my school is hosting on mental health and talked about the potential of partnering with Community Board 9. And finally, we talked about preparing a report to the executive full board. And we adjourned the meeting at 9:05 p.m.
Sounds good, Maureen. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Do I need to, is someone need
Did
to
she
move?
kick out?
Maybe.
I don't see her anymore.
I'm wondering if someone needs to move to
Move.
approve the minutes.
Well, I'll move
But
to
I'm not
approve
sure.
the minutes.
Okay.
Someone can
Second
second.
that.
I'm sorry, I was muted.
Oh, okay.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, maybe I said it incorrectly, but Judy Lewis was, I don't recall her being a member of CEC. It was actually the District 17 PAC. So it was the District 17 Parent Advisory Council that she was on. That's the only correction that I would make to the minutes. So I definitely move for us to, I second the motion for us to accept the minutes, but with the necessary corrections. So for all those in favor, you can just say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Anyone opposed to the accepting of the minutes?
No.
I'm sorry, Pamela Payne, are you opposing the minutes?
I
Or you
was trying to learn how to use this thumbs up, but I
awesome.
don't have it yet, so forgive me.
Okay.
So thumbs
Well,
up.
it works. Awesome. Okay, so the minutes have been approved. And thank you so much, everyone. Next item on the agenda.
all right, the next item is the chairperson's report.
Oh, that would be me. There are so many things that are going on in our community, and I just want to tell you that right now we have our superintendent that is here with us, and I'm so excited to be able to welcome her. And so I'm going to move to actually move forward in the agenda, so we would actually be able to go into our next segment at this time. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull up the bio for our superintendent, Sheenan Lindsay, and I'm so excited for us to be able to have her with us on this evening. But just bear with me as I pull that up real quick. And as we're waiting, I just wanted to once again welcome everyone to our Community Board 9 Education meeting. We're so grateful to all of you that are here to be able to join us and witness Women's History Month with us. And we're just very excited to have you with us on today. So, the bio for our very own Sheenan Lindsay, Acting Superintendent, District 17. Ken Blanchard said, servant leadership is all about making goals clear and then rolling your sleeves up and doing whatever it takes to help people win. As a lifelong learner and educator, superintendent As a lifelong learner and educator, Acting Superintendent Lindsay has consistently rolled up her sleeves to ensure educators and children win. As the Acting Superintendent of District 17, she and Lindsay has created a winning opportunities by creating task forces to ensure teaching and learning is fostered, providing engaging professional development, and giving parents unprecedented voice in their children's learning and in the district's events. Sheenan began her career in Brownsville, Brooklyn, and then progressed as principal, network leader, and deputy superintendent. With over 22 years of service to the New York City public school system, Sheenan continues to model the love, compassion, and servant leadership taught by her family. With the support of her family, she is a first-generation college graduate who works to give others opportunities to excel. As deputy superintendent for over 17 years, Ms. Lindsay was responsible for the supervision and administration of 32 schools, serving over 13,000 students from 3K through grade 12. District 17 encompasses the diverse central communities of Crown Heights, Prospect Heights, East Flatbush, and Lefferts Gardens. At the start of Sheenan's career in District 17, the district was ranked 29 out of 32 school districts, and there were 23 focus schools. By providing quality professional development that promoted student engagement, fostering collaboration among stakeholders to ensure systems thinking approach by providing high leverage feedback on principal evaluations, positive student outcomes were achieved. District 17 experienced gains of 23% in levels 3 and 4 in English language arts, from 17% in 2013 to 42% in 2019, and 21, which is 21% in levels 3 and 4 in mathematics, from 17%. Oh, excuse me, I'm gonna read that over to make sure we're on the same page and we understand those achievements. District 17 experienced gains of 23% in levels 3 and 4 in English language arts, from 17% in 2013 to 42% in 2019, and 21% in levels 3 and 4 in mathematics, from 17% in 2013 to 38% in 2019. All students, including ELLs and SWDs, increase in achievement during this time. Today, District 17 is ranked 17 out of 32 community school districts, and all 23 focus schools are now in good standing. Ms. Lindsay has a Bachelor of Arts degree from SUNY Old Westbury, a Master's of Science degree from City College, a Master of Education from Bank Street College of Education, and is all but dissertation at Walden University. She is currently pursuing the completion of her doctorate from Sage College. Everyone, welcome our very own Superintendent Lindsay, District 17.
Good evening, and thank you, Ms. Lewis, for that wonderful, wonderful welcome. And good evening to Community Board 9. It is such a pleasure to virtually join each of you this evening, and I hope that in the near future I'll be able to interact with you personally, face to face. I have a slideshow that I'd like to share with you to give you an overview of the district, but WebEx is asking me to open system preferences, so give me 1 second.
Most definitely.
I'm not sure what that means. Okay. Okay. Hopefully, oh no. Okay. It's asking me, do I want to leave the meeting, which I do not want to do. So
Hey.
I don't know how to share my document. I've never used WebEx before in my life.
Let me see what we can do here.
I just made you
Yes.
enter. I don't know if maybe you see the option below to share.
I do see the option below to share.
There you go.
Let's see more options. Okay, share. It says open grant access and system preferences. So let me grant access. I've never used WebEx before, so I had to download it. So I think that my computer is asking me to give permission. So
Yes.
I'm going to give permission. And I've done that. So I think that I should be okay now. If not, could I drop my link in the chat and someone else share it?
We have actually disabled chat for our committee meetings. But
Okay.
you might maybe through Q&A.
I am so sorry. I can't
It's
access my slideshow. I
it's
feel so
okay. Don't worry.
badly.
If I think also when you change preferences, you might actually have to log out and log back in so they can take effect. So I've seen so far. Um, is this what kind of link is this? Is this a Google Drive link or something like that?
Yes, it is. It's a Google Drive link.
Okay, if you can share, if you can put the link in the Q&A, or if you want to email the Brooklyn CB9 office, BK09.
Or you could just email it to me and I can forward it over.
Okay, Miss Lewis, that's exactly what I'll do. I apologize, everyone.
No
You
problem.
know, what
Not
can go
not
wrong
your fault.
will.
It's WebEx.
Yeah. Never heard of WebEx before.
Exactly.
I wanna make everyone aware while
Primo, you need to be objective.
yeah, I just want to make everyone aware that Primo is the chair of our youth committee, Community Board 9, and we definitely want to welcome him and thank him so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and I'm excited for our two committees to work together more for the young people of this district.
Okay, because I use the Department of Education Google and it's now not allowing me to share outside of the organization. This is just so bad.
Oh,
So here's what I will do. I'm going to have to read what I have for you, and I promise not to be boring, okay? So you all have heard by now a little bit about who I am, and what I want to talk about is my why as a leader. That's very important to know why we're in this work. And as you heard, District 17 was one of the lowest performing districts in New York City. And I tell people all over that my goal is to make New York City Community School District 17 one of the premier districts in New York City. So there are a range of things that I'm doing to ensure that our district becomes one of the highest performing and most innovative districts in New York City. So my focus since beginning has been number one, ensuring excellence and equity in education, ensuring that our students are provided experiences that expose them to college and career readiness, providing opportunities to support family and community as well as advocacy, ensuring that our babies are exposed to quality, good quality teaching and learning, and also targeted supports for our students. As we know, being at home for the last 2 years has had a tremendous impact on our babies. So we ensure that there is a lot of intervention as well as enrichment for our students who are above grade level. And also, we want to tap into their social emotional needs by ensuring that every school has joyful learning experiences. I also know that in looking at our district, we have lost so many students over the last few years. In fact, the New York City Department of Education used to have over 1 million students, and now we're roughly about 800,000. So it's not just our district, but what I want is for us to have as many students as possible to keep all of our schools open. So what I've been doing is looking at different programs and initiatives that will excite people about our schools. And as you know, our community is changing. You see beautiful high-rise buildings all over the place with doormen and garages, nice restaurants. So we've got to have schools that match the state of our community. So I'll give you an example. I'm bringing one initiative into the district called Mentoring in Medicine. Research shows that most students of color are discouraged from going to medical school. So with Mentoring in Medicine, I'm working very closely to create a pipeline from 5th grade all the way to high school for students to strengthen their interest in science and math, as well as medicine. So next week, many of our students will be engaging in their first surgery on chicken wings. So they'll be dissecting chicken wings, looking for veins, muscle. I'm not participating because I love chicken wings, and I know that if I participate or I even observe, I will never eat a chicken wing again. So I'm not going to participate, but I will look at pictures. So, but all of this is about innovation, creativity, and developing a love for math and science, thus more students going into medical school. And so we're going to be partnering with colleges all over the United States by way of Mentoring in Medicine so that our babies are on a pathway to become doctors. We also have robotics programs. So I'm strengthening our robotics programs because in addition to our doctors, we need to have some folks who are engineers, you know? So we're focused on STEAM, science, technology, math, the arts, and I said technology. So that's where robotics comes into, and coding. So starting next school year, hopefully we'll be fully open and able to do things in person. We're going to have robotics contests across the district, STEAM fairs where we're showcasing the creativity of our students. I have another initiative that I've brought into the district this year, Computer Science for All. Because again, we are preparing our students to be tomorrow's leaders. So we cannot give them the same education that we all had. Nothing is the same. So that means everything our babies get has to prepare them for the next level. And that means tapping into critical thinking. So robotics, coding, mentoring in medicine, and even thinking about things such as the culinary arts. We've got children who love to cook, they love to mess around with pots and pans. So we want to tap into that because we all know we love a good meal and we need our students to know how to cook. We've got our students learning how to sew because we can't lean on mommy and daddy to sew everything for us. And there is money in fashion, right? So we are tapping into all things. And again, ensuring that our students are learning how to think critically so that they can make decisions for themselves when it comes down to college and career. And the goal is to tap into these things from 5th grade and beyond. So if a student's in an elementary school, we begin tapping into their love for these things. Now, robotics and coding begins all the way in pre-K. But sewing, you know, with needle and thread, we've got to be a little more careful. So that's why 5th grade and dissection, again, we're talking about using cutlery and stuff. So we've got to tap into that from 5th grade and then creating a bridge from our elementary school to middle school. So now students who are involved in mentoring to medicine will go to a middle school that has the same program. And then from there, begin doing more experiments, tapping into their scientific abilities, giving opportunities for their parents to also learn more about the medical field and how they can support their children at home, as well as free programs all across New York City that we've never heard of. So mentoring in medicine will give us all that. So I'm very excited about the direction of District 17 and the wonderful things that we're going to do. And I just had a few more things on my slide that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the mission. So if you're on social media, I ask you to follow me on Twitter. It's Sheneen L, SHENEANL. I tweet a lot about the work going on in the district. I tweet a lot about our workshops, but our mission is simply, we are a district on the rise. And what does rise mean? That means rigor, work that makes you think, opportunities that push your thinking. Intellectual engagement is what the I stands for. S, success in college and career. And E, excellence in teaching and learning. So I've mentioned a lot of how that looks and the path forward, and I'm very, very excited about being the superintendent of District 17. And the vision is simple, using the word rise. The vision of Community School District 17 is to rise above educational expectations, to rise to be educational explorers and innovators, to rise to be leaders in life, to rise to meet the needs of our families, to rise to ensure that every child has an opportunity for success, and to rise to be well prepared for our collective future. So that's very, very important to us that our district rises. And we also use a hashtag, we rise by lifting others. And we have another hashtag, we rise together, because the work that I'm committed to doing is ensuring that everybody rises, not just our students. We're looking at our families and looking at our communities. So we do a lot of work on the district level. We have workshops at least, I want to say at least 4 times a month. There are workshops around advocacy, supporting parents how to advocate before their children if they have special needs. How do you prepare for New York State exams? Free activities. We do a little bit of everything because, again, we can't just have our students rising. We want our parents and our community to rise with us. So I hope that you follow us on Facebook, that you follow us on, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So if you're not following District 17 or following me, please follow us so that you can see the work that we do. There are a lot of wonderful things happening across District 17, and we are in the process of rebranding. So please follow us on our journey as we, reimagine what education looks like in District 17. Because as I said a few minutes ago, before the pandemic, we did everything the same way we did in schools 20 and 30 years ago. But now, with everything that's happened, we cannot educate our babies the same way. So I'm committed to ensuring that our students get innovative, critical thinking experiences in our schools. So we are just in the beginning phase of it, and I'm very excited about the impact of what this work will be. So thank you, and I'm going to pause for questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We appreciate you so much for everything that you have shared. I don't see nobody's hand up yet, so I'm going to take the liberty of going first. I want to ask you from the bio. When I was reading over the bio, sometimes people think, well, hopefully they don't think just because some of us are in certain positions that we know everything. I mean, just from looking at your bio, it shows that education is essential for our learning. And, I was like, wow, like you've gone to these amazing universities and, you're continuing to get your education. So we're continuous learners. And there's nothing wrong with us asking what are certain acronyms. So I know ELL is English language learners because we have different, audience members that'll be joining us and some that'll be looking later on YouTube. But ELL being English language learners, SWDs. I wasn't as familiar with that particular acronym. What is SWDs?
So I have to apologize to everyone for using Department of Education jargon. I get poked at a lot for doing that, and sometimes I get so busy in my head that I forget to not use Department of Education jargon. But SWD means Students with Disabilities.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And that's also, helpful, to all of us, to all of our audience. So I appreciate that. And for those that are not as familiar, even though we read your bio and even though you shared the great initiatives you're working on, some may not understand what is the basic work of a superintendent. Many may know of, the superintendent of the Department of Education. But what is it to have a superintendent representing your district of schools?
So I will start with the quote, "Heavy is the head that wears the crown." So I am responsible for 32 schools across our district, starting from Ocean Hill, Brownsville, all the way through Flatbush. And we've also got Crown Heights, East Flatbush as well. So I'm responsible for number one, for hiring principals, for ensuring that they provide a quality standards-based instructional program for our students. So there is policy that outlines how many minutes of reading, math, social studies, physical education, etc. So it's my responsibility to ensure that gets done. And of course, that gets done by ensuring that our principals and assistant principals receive adequate training and support around policy. it is also my responsibility to monitor what the state of teaching and learning looks like. So I conduct 64 supervisory visits a year because I go to each school 2 times a year to evaluate the principals. And in between that, I lead trainings for our principals and our assistant principals to ensure that they, understand what the expectations are and that they have tools to be successful in their work. I also manage the district budget. I liaise with the Community Education Council, and we have a wonderful Community Education Council president, Erica Kendall, who I work very, very closely with. So we work together also to ensure that policy supports the needs of our community. So if there's something that I cannot do because I'm the superintendent, I lean on Erica to support through the lens of a parent. I also ensure that our students are safe. So I monitor suspension data. So if there's a school that has a high number of suspension, I am visiting the school. I'm tapping into people from other offices to help support. Thankfully, the highest number of suspensions in our district is 4 students. So that goes to tell you that we've got pretty nice schools in the district, right? The highest number is 4. We have 4 schools that are deemed as having high numbers of suspensions. 2 schools with 4 students that have been suspended this year, and 2 other schools with students that have been suspended twice. So we want to ensure that we support the social emotional needs of our students. So by that, I also provide training to guidance counselors and social workers so that we can support the emotional needs of our families. I'm also in charge of parent coordinators who respond to families when they have complaints and concerns. So I have 2 people on my team who are trained to support, and they report to me whenever there are concerns. I often get concerns from parents directly by way of Department of Ed email. So if a parent Googles me and they find my email address, I will either call the parent back myself, or if I'm very busy, I will pass it to my point person on the team who follows up with the parent and then goes back to me. And of course, if it escalates to a place where I need to intervene, I will then meet with the parent, the principal, and the point person on my team to handle that. I'm also responsible for managing all data. So there are all kinds of data in the district. Suspensions, looking at the number of students in temporary housing, or we call it now insecure housing, because every student doesn't live in a shelter. Some are doubled up and tripled up in other families. So, for example, like I said, I monitor the data. Before I left for midwinter recess 2 weeks ago, we had 13% of our students who are insecure with housing. And when I looked at the data again on Monday, we went up by 1%. So that tells me something's going on in our community because the number of homelessness has gone up by 1%. And I also know that food insecurity is an issue because we've had parents reaching out asking where they can get food. So I work very closely with our city council member, Rita Joseph, who you know is the chair of education. We typically speak for about 30 minutes every week, and she's been very supportive in helping me in this area because students who have insecure housing don't just need book bags and pen and paper. We need to make sure our babies eat. We need to make sure their parents eat because parents can't properly parent if they're hungry too. So one thing that we've been committed to do is ensuring that there's a food pantry in every single school. So I just met with Ms. Joseph today, and we're almost done with the process. And by the end of this month, we should be ribbon cutting across the district. So even though the number of students who live in insecure housing has gone up, they will not have to worry about food because the plan is to ensure we're wrapping services around students. So we're preparing them for college and career because college is not the pathway for everybody. Some folks can make a whole lot of money with career. They can open their own businesses. They can do a lot. So we're making sure we tap into college and career. We wrap our services around through food pantries. We're looking into getting washing machines and dryers in our school. So I do all these different things. I had 6 Zooms today around issues like this. Not issues, but initiatives that I want to put in place to ensure that our children get wholesome education. It's not like it was years ago where you went to school, you did your work, and you went home. So we want to ensure that we wrap our arms around our babies and we love on them and we give them the best educational experience possible. So that's just a little bit of what I do, but it's a lot.
No, listen, this is Women's Herstory Month, and we thank you for sharing, your daily role. And we thank you for, everything you're doing to work for our district and our community. I did see Maureen Ferry's hand up for a question as well.
Okay.
That was really helpful. I was curious about what your day-to-day looks like as well. And also I can probably just figure this out about your Instagram and Instagram handles for District 17
I
and
will
Facebook.
so my Instagram is Soup Lindsay, SUPTLINDSAY.
Okay.
And District 17, if you type in District 17 NYC, it should come up. And if you're on Twitter, I'm Sheneen L, SHENEANL. And if you type in District 17, it should pop right up. But we tweet, we're on social media every day by way of Instagram and Twitter. We want the public to know that we have great schools in this district. District 17 is not the underdog district that it once was. We have great schools in this district, and we want people to know we are not the schools that we were in the 80s and the 90s. It's a new day here in the district. We have the data to prove it. We're opening up our doors, and when things get safer, we want people to visit and see what's going on. But in the meantime, we will share all the great things happening across District 17 by way of social media. Yes. Oh, sorry.
Hi, I'm so query. I was wondering, like, what can us civilians do to like be of support, with the superintendent's office, just like maybe on a regular basis? What can we just do as community members?
Well, one thing you can do that would be great is continue to connect us to resources. So I spoke a little about some of the things that we're doing, but there are a lot more that we're doing, and we need resources. We need partnerships, folks who are willing to donate time to our students, folks who may have money or resources that they can give us. That would be helpful. Also, one thing that has been a dream of mine, as well as President Kendall from the CEC, we want to start a 501c3. We know there is a lot of money out there, and we want to begin fundraising. So as I begin speaking about all these wonderful things that we want to do but don't have money to do, as we begin to fundraise, because we know in wealthier districts, wealthier public school districts have 501c3s, and they have thousands and thousands of dollars. Why can't we have that? So I'm working on that. So any of you are interested in being a part of that work, because we do need members of the community to be a part of the foundation. The foundation does not have a name and it doesn't exist yet, because we are doing the beginning legwork. But we know, and of course I can't sit on the foundation because I'm the superintendent, but I am part of getting it started. And then of course, once it goes through its process and it's approved, I'll be in the background, but we'll need members of the community to support us by way of the foundation. So, and if you're unable to participate and you know somebody who's interested in serving on the board of the foundation that we're building, that would be wonderful.
Okay, so how would I, like, because I started my own organization and went through that whole process, and can definitely, I'm the type of person, because I didn't have money, I found ways to do a lot of things for free. So definitely, what would be a next step in terms of making the connection to be of support?
If you would email me. So my email address is SLIN. So SLIN as in Nancy, D as in David, S as in Sam, A as in Apple, at schools, SCHOOLS, .nyc.gov. I'm very responsive by way of email and text. So I'll typically respond, within an hour or two when I see messages. And we'll get you started, because again, we're doing the legwork, and part of the problem is we don't have enough folks who know about this process. So we're stuck because we don't have money to hire somebody to do the work for us. So this is a grassroots effort, but we do want to end the school year knowing that our application has been approved, or it's in the process of being approved, so that we can begin this work of fundraising and getting our strong programs in the district. Because
Well, I'm going to send. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
My vision is to have a District 17 orchestra and dance troupe. That requires a lot of money because they're going to be traveling, performing. We need strong dance teachers, we need strong music teachers. So we need a lot of money to make this happen. I think Miss Payne had her hand up or said
Yes,
something.
I did. Thank you for acknowledging me. I too want to be on the team, so I guess I need to send you an email.
Yes, please send the
Um,
email.
I have a question. Are you open to faith-based in partnerships?
We are open to it. In fact, the Community Education Council is looking for some faith-based folks to support them as well. They have a district planning committee. So as you know, I've been speaking about innovation and reimagining what school looks like. So our Community Education Council has a subcommittee that is meeting to discuss the types of schools we should have in District 17. So we also have opportunities there. They meet once a month and they talk about what they hear in the community, what the data trends say, and give recommendations as the types of schools. We have 32 schools. I spoke about
With
medicine.
the can I ask a question with the 32 schools? Is that K to 12 or is that K to 8?
Actually, it's 3K through 12. We have
It's
3K.
3K?
Yes, there is one high school under me, but the other high schools are under other superintendents.
So you have one high school under you?
I do, yes. The
That
high
makes
school.
it 30, that makes it 32 schools in total.
Yes, yes.
But that doesn't, you don't know how many high schools are on the high school level that are connected to District 14, to District 17.
I don't know that number offhand. I do
Okay,
know
just,
there are about 4 or 5 superintendents that oversee their schools.
okay, okay. All right, so you need help. So that means when we have our Jackie Robinson Day in April, which we have not talked about, we could talk to you about partnership and around that as well, right?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
cool.
I'm open
Cool.
to more
Thank
conversation.
you.
Yeah, I'm open to more conversation about how we can partner together, and what we can do to uplift our district.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate all the hard work. And it is Black History Month for women. So kudos to you and thank you for loving our children and trying to bring our families together. So we're here to support you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much, Superintendent Lindsay. It's 7:46. I know you have another meeting.
Yes.
I don't want to, can you spare 5 more minutes? Or you have to go?
I am texting now to let folks know that I can stay for about 2 more minutes.
Okay. Because I have one last thing I have to ask you. And it's,
Sure, no problem. I
it's,
apologize for this. I did not realize I'm doing a presentation. I'm in a women. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Links Incorporated,
oh,
but
yeah.
I serve on the Eastern area, so we're getting ready to I'm getting ready to co-lead a presentation for a training for the East Coast.
Excellent. Excellent. Listen, I had your time down to a science, but I do have one last question that
Sure.
it's a hefty one, but let me not answer that for you because I'm asking you this question intentionally. So the mayor is looking for mayoral control over the schools. What does that mean for parents? What does that mean for the mayor to have control over the schools as opposed to current setups with the Department of Education?
So when you say current setups, do you mean like outside of New York City, we have school boards and other groups that make decisions for or have more voice in what happens? So, you know, I'm paid by the mayor. I'm on the mayor's payroll, so I'm not going to say anything negative. But basically, what it means is that the mayor has control and say so over every single thing that happens when it comes down to education. And so that's why you see there are community education councils, president councils, because there's some voice, but it's not the same type of voice that you see where school board has control over what happens in a school district outside of New York City. So there's a difference.
Okay. Forgive me for ending on that, but that's actually in my report that I'm actually about to be sharing with
Yeah.
everyone. And so I just wanted to, I would be remiss if I didn't just ask you while I had you here to just explain what that meant for just our community and in general. So certainly I appreciate you. I thank you so much for everything that you do. Yeah, listen, everybody, we just got a snippet of the amazing things that our superintendent Lindsay does, and we appreciate you for taking time out to be with us on today. All the best with the Links Incorporated, and all the best on your continued education and everything that you're doing. Thank you for making a difference in Brooklyn for our communities. Happy Women's History Month. Thank you for joining us on this evening.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to joining you all in the near future. And again, those of you who are interested in working with us on the district level, please email me and I will reply to you by tomorrow. Have a good evening, everyone. Bye.
Thanks so much. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for your questions and just being attentive. That was huge. I'm so grateful that we were able to have our superintendent with us and, for us all to get more of an understanding, of the work that's being done within our district. I want us to be able to continue to have, different guests to join us so we can get more of an understanding. The work that we're doing as volunteers in our community is, we're pieces to the puzzle that's being put together, to be able to make a difference. And so it's all relative, it all matters. And thanks so much, everyone, as usual. I'm just grateful for
Madam President, I'm so sorry for dragging her into our Jackie Robinson Day, but I figured it was a great opportunity to take it while she was on the phone with us. So I hope you don't mind that. Please forgive my aggression.
There no apology is needed. I have a feel for our members at this point, and I'm not mad at you at all. I appreciate you, and I certainly was going to ask the district to partner with us. So listen, we got the right subcommittee members and we got the right committee, so it's all good. And we have Primo with us. So once again, for those of you that weren't aware, we have our chair of our youth here with us on this evening. Primo, do you want to say anything? I usually do this at the end of the meeting, but hey, you can share. Go ahead.
Sure. Thanks for inviting me tonight. And, for the audience, with the district superintendent, who I think, is brilliant and inspiring, and is clearly doing a ton of great work for young people. So it's just a good reminder of how many excellent advocates our students have on their side, and the level of expertise that goes into the work. Youth Services Committee, saying hi. I know many of you, Dexter and Melanie and Pamela and Beverly, and so hello to so many different familiar faces who also, and Sol, of course, who support with our efforts on the Youth Services Committee. I think Melanie reached out with the intent of also just bridging our two committees a little bit more, which I think is something that would be really helpful. Like, if this is any indicator, right? Like, we all kind of need to join forces so that we can do more, because it's all the same pipeline, right? Like, our students, we at the Youth Services Committee focus on students who are older, so like 16 to 24. But as you can tell, the district superintendent is talking about, college access initiatives and career-focused initiatives that need to begin at kind of younger age groups. So I just look forward to continuing to work together, and popping into this meeting whenever y'all want to have me, and open invitation for anybody who wants to join the Youth Services Committee, which Sol is a part of, and I think is going to act as a bit of a liaison between our two committees as well. But thanks, and I have to run. I have to eat dinner, and I have to walk my dog. But I really thank you once again, Melanie, for the spirit of partnership that you've expressed here, and I look forward to continuing it.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And Sol has definitely mentioned Youth Services as well. So we're on the same page, and I'm excited. So feed yourself, feed your dog. Thank you for taking time out of your life to be with us on this night.
Thank you. Take care. Good night, everybody.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much. So we'll go back to our agenda. You know, really the only thing I was really going to share in the chairperson's report is the fact that the mayor is looking to gain mayoral control of the schools. And I received a notice that they're looking for additional organizations that we feel would be interested in endorsing that fact. So if you know of an organization that you feel would want to sign on to that initiative, make me aware so that we can get back to the mayor's office with that information. So that's information that I received recently. So I wanted to, make you all aware of that and make sure that we did ask our superintendent, what exactly does that mean? So everybody was on the same page. So once again, if you're aware of an organization that you feel would want to join in the endorsement of that, you can make me aware and we can share that over with them. Also, well, that's all I really want to share. Go ahead. Yes, Maureen.
What do you mean exactly? Sorry, I don't think I'm totally following.
No,
So
okay, I'm
in
sorry.
order for go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, so it was just like an email in which they're looking to gain the names and maybe contact information of organizations that would be in agreement in the endorsing of the mayor having control over the schools. They would like for us to get back to their offices. There's a specific entity within the mayor's office that's looking to gain those contacts for us to share with them. And listen, I'm still
Melanie,
yes.
as an education committee, are we gonna talk about that more?
We
Because
can.
I don't have and the reason I'm asking that is because I remember parents weren't happy
Mm-hmm.
when Bloomberg had that power.
Mm,
So can we, for those of us who are not in education like that, and
mm-hmm.
we just hear stuff on the peripheral, and we are to educate, can we talk about that more?
Mm-hmm.
Do we, and this is me genuinely asking the question, not
Mm-hmm.
being passive.
Yeah.
Do we want to seek partners out for the mayor's office to do that? If we do, then let's expound on it. If we don't, let's expound on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I remember doing Bloomberg Zero. A lot of parents weren't happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
It has that changed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say has it
Well,
changed, or
just
you
to
saying
add to the pie of that, because I know it might be a further conversation down the pipe, then if the mayor doesn't have control, then who has control? And it goes back to the DOE and let the DOE control our parents. Well, I don't like it, so I'm just putting it out there. So
that's exactly why I was asking our superintendent, what does that mean?
I
That's
think
exactly.
what we need to do is have a deeper conversation around it. I'm with you,
Mm-hmm.
Madam Chair.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's why I'm
Yeah, I
asking the
guess.
question.
Yeah, but I guess I thought there was some difference between us being Board of Education and then Department of Education, and it had something to do with the control and who's in control and all of that. And so, I guess we need clarification around that, and then what the pros and cons of it is, and what the community wants.
Right.
Is very important because I think we should be mindful and careful of what we are supporting, especially if it turns out to be something that the community does not want to do.
I hear
And
you.
Thank
then it
you.
feels like we're doing it on our own versus what the community wants. And then figuring that out.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate everyone and all of your comments. What we can do, I mean, since we've been, it was just like, an email asking if we would share organizations we know. If there's an organization we know that's an advocate that might be against or for, like we can actually like maybe invite them and we can hear both points of view. Or I could just like do some research and see what it is that folks have been actually saying on both sides. so that we can see what those differences are, what are all those pros, what are all those cons, to both sides. Because
So Melanie, can't
mhm,
we, not to interrupt, but instead of just you doing it, because all of us being on the education committee, wouldn't we all need that education so we can all engage in that level of research, and we
definitely
each take a little snippet and bring it back to our next meeting if that's something.
perfect,
uh, That's just
perfect.
what I'm, because if they're asking us to suggest partners to a certain level, they're asking us to influence someone.
Mm,
If they're
I'm so
if they're
glad.
just sending you to inform you is one thing, but they're saying reach out to partners. Now once we reach, say for instance, I was on a committee, I was the president of whatever, right? And I happen to reach out to you, and if you consider my position in my committee of influence, you're going to be influenced on behalf of my ask.
Mhm, mhm.
So that's what I'm saying. Maybe we want to research what that means, like my colleague said, and before we do that ask of a committee, or
Mhm.
like I said, I just remember some parents not liking it, but in the room they stated, so what does it go back to the community board? What does it go back to the DOE or the BOE? So there are clearly different ideas in the room,
Yes.
and maybe instead of just, because you are the chair, and for me, leadership facilitates, leads, and negotiates access. But the rest of us um, are part of the process. All of us are
Mhm.
part of the process.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm suggesting,
Most
that we
certainly.
all do a little bit of research. That's what I'm
Yes.
suggesting.
Yes, we can all do research at any time, and this is the perfect time to do so, so that we're all on the same page. And I appreciate everything that you shared. Beverly is right on point, and certainly, you know, even in the position, I'm still learning as well, of course, right? So I was sitting here, and as I was sharing this with you all, I said, well, maybe I could have shared that to them in an email, but I'm transparent, and this is a public forum, and this is, it's public service that we're all doing, so we're learning together. And so it's just kind of like, you know what, it's not a secret that the mayor is seeking mayoral control of the schools, and we actually need to look into that, and what does that mean to our community. And yes, if and
Right.
if we are submitting those that may, and that may be endorsing it, that doesn't necessarily mean we are. We're just sharing information, but certainly it opened up a deeper conversation that we need to have. So I certainly appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. And yeah, and we can always continue via email this as well. But certainly, yeah, let's all go back and do research, and we can definitely share it via email and on our next meeting as well. Thank you so much. The time is now 8:02. If you all could take us back to the agenda. Ms. Maureen, if you can let us know what's next. I know it was after the chairperson's report. Was it the treasurer's report, I believe?
Yes, the treasurer's report.
All right. So Janelle could not join us this evening, but she does not have a report right now. We wanted to become familiar with seeing her name on the agenda, as that would be the format, and her updating us on what that looks like for events. She's been updated with information and what it may look like going forward for as events and budget is concerned and things of that sort. So she may have something to share with us on next month. We shall see. But right now, she has no report. She was not able to join us due to work obligations.
All right, so next is acknowledgement of representatives and guests.
Yes, so we already acknowledged Primo, and that worked out perfect because he needed to go. So I'm so glad that our youth uh, our youth committee was able to join us, as well as our superintendent, Lindsay. Do we have anyone else joining us that I wasn't made aware of? Anyone else joining us that's not usually on our committee? Any elected officials or anyone that I may have missed that may be on the line or on the call or Zoom today? Hearing none, I just want to acknowledge everyone that's on the call today, the Zoom today. Thanks so much, Dexter Roberts, Beverly Newsom, Pamela Payne, So Creary, Maureen Ferry. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you so much, committee members. You are much appreciated. So hearing nobody else on the call today, when we are done, we will be done. We will not have any additional announcements unless, Ms. Ferry, did you want to speak to that event that was going to be taking place in April later, or was that postponed?
No, it wasn't postponed, and I can speak to it later, or I can actually just email
Okay.
Sol and anybody else.
Okay.
But next on the
And
agenda is,
Maureen,
oh, yeah.
Maureen, if you wanted to let me know, because I definitely wanted to be of support of that, so you could let me know what I can do to help. And I literally lived a couple blocks away from your school. Your
Okay.
school is the first New York City school I worked in.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll definitely connect after this then. Thank you. And so the next agenda item is open action items. And those are the 3 projects, the book giveaway, the subcommittee event for school support, Jackie Robinson Day, and then calendar items.
Thank you. So in reference to the book giveaway, so we still, you all may have seen the email from Demetria Farrell on today. She is a teacher, so she is at, conducting parent-teachers meetings on this evening. But she is the point person for our book giveaway, and she does still have those books. And I know we talked about going into looking into what event that we would want to include those books, and we never really came to a conclusion on what we're going to do. So the option is on the table to include it in the next event. I know there's an end of year event. Definitely gonna have you share. So but we also have the end of year event with the board as well. I think that was mentioned actually, that we could potentially give it out at that event, unless we just put the book giveaway on, as an event before the end of the school year. So what did you want to share?
Yeah, so I did respond to the email because I spoke to the principal at the YABC and they were interested in getting some of the books, but then I never, at least, I mean, I know I'm a little behind on email right now, but when I had responded, I didn't really hear anything back. So I just let you know that they are interested in getting some books for the kids.
YABC, please remind us again.
Downtown Brooklyn YABC, which is over on Tillery. It's in the building of George Westinghouse. And so I have a program there. And when you guys mentioned it, I had mentioned that they, could probably use the resources. I got an email about it, responded back because she said she would be interested in giving some books. And then I responded back, but then I didn't hear anything after that.
Okay, this was the person that wanted to give.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Was somebody else trying to say?
So let me know if there's something I can do to follow up around that because they were interested.
Okay. Well, we would want to decide what we want to do with the book. So like, do we want to have another book giveaway, or do we want to incorporate the giving of the books at an event that's coming up? Do we want to do it for the end of year celebration?
I have a suggestion because the education committee is working on having a youth expo day.
The youth
So
committee,
yes. So I'm sorry, I'm mixing up the thing. Sorry. Youth Services is having a youth expo. So maybe that could be one of the things that we do, especially we're talking about a lot of kids who may be getting ready to go to college and be able to utilize it. Maybe we could put the book drive in the event and then students can just take books that they need. Parents can take book that they need for that day, since it's going to be this whole kind of block party type of, not party, but info session and situation. That might be a good place to just put everything together.
Okay, so that's one idea we can put down. So for the youth, that's for what was the name of that event? I'm sorry.
It's the Youth Expo. They're working
Okay.
to have it possibly end of May, early June.
Okay, it's a youth expo, and the idea of the event. What is the premise of the event?
So it's to educate and give serve opportunities to the youth in the community. So like, they have people with SYEP. They're gonna have, like, I'm working to get a grant to like do maybe a mini film festival of the youth, that films that they create. Then it's going to be a vendors of various nonprofit organizations that's in the community that service the youth. They'll have tables, and I think like fun activities. And I'm working also to help get a celebrity or someone to come and perform. So it's going to be this big to do. So it would make sense, I think, if we also have that book drive and have those events, because then we'd just be able to have a lot of people in the community in one place and be able to service them in multiple ways.
Okay, and when is that event?
They're working on the date. So I know that they said anywhere between May 22nd to June 3rd.
Okay. Is there any other ideas for events? I'm writing them all down. And then we can like take a vote. If we don't vote today, maybe we can vote next month. And I say that only because Demetria is not with us, and I'm thinking maybe she would want to be with us when we take this vote. What do you all think?
That sounds good.
Okay. All right. So any other events that you all think would be potentially a good place for us to do the book giveaway?
Does this mean
Thinking-
we're not?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Does this mean we're not doing it at the broader event in June?
That was definitely another suggestion for us to do it at the event in June.
Oh, okay. I'm a fan of that. Sorry, I don't know where we are. Sorry. I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of that.
Okay. All right. So far we have the Youth Expo, and then there's the end of year event in June.
We also talked about the possibility of combining it with the Jackie Robinson Day event, since it is at a school.
Okay. So we got three potential ideas of where we can do the book giveaway, as opposed to an isolated event, doing it like like a gift at these particular events. So we have these three different events on the board here. And so I recommend that we take a vote on next month, when we have Demetria present as well, to share whatever it is that she would want to share pertaining to it. And that'll be early April. The year is going by so fast. Yeah, so that'll be early April. I can also speak to the district office and our chair of our board to see if maybe we can just maybe do that vote via email with our members. It's a few of us. Maybe we can do that vote via email as well, to proceed in which we would like to just go forth in. Okay. Everybody's on the same page? All right, thank you so much. The next item after the book giveaway, oh yeah, we had the subcommittee. I know that we were looking to have a subcommittee to look into support to our schools.
That's me, right?
Can you
Yeah.
explain what the support to our schools is again? I'm sorry.
So that's the new subcommittee that was created after we decided not to go forward with the spelling bee. This new subcommittee was created to be able to. There was the idea about supporting our schools with an initiative. So the subcommittee. So Beverly, take it away.
So you're asking if I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, whoever's talking.
No, go ahead.
No, probably you're gonna answer my question, so I'll stop.
One of the two discussions came up. One was doing a virtual event for high schoolers, and one doing an event for high schoolers and middle schoolers to support the schools in a way that it doesn't require the teacher do additional work. And it fell in the entertainment area. So one was a virtual DJ for high schoolers and a puppet show for middle schoolers. And we were to look into that to see if that was something that was doable. And I reached out to someone that we partner with as an organization who does events with us as well. And I'm still waiting for him. He does do it, but I'm waiting for him to get back to me with a cost. Because remember, Fred said that we needed to hand in a budget for anything that we were going to do. So I'm waiting for him to get back to me with a cost.
All right, Mr. DJ. Cool. Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
So
Takes a minute to respond. Yes, it did answer my question.
Okay.
Now I remember everything. I got such jumbled up in my head. And I did forget that we were talking about with the book fair doing it at Jackie Robinson Day. So yeah. I remember everything now. My mind is,
And I was waiting for a price from the vendor, because that's part of the consideration of whether we as a committee were going to do it or not. Just so you know, from what I can remember, the committee wasn't committed to the two ideas. They just wanted to flesh them out.
with the committee, or the subcommittee, did we ever come to a consensus of having the subcommittee? And if so, when would we meet, come together to start getting the ball rolling?
My memory says the subcommittee was first to investigate the ideas and then come back, and then the broader committee would talk about the ideas, because there was some apprehension about them, how they would be facilitated, how the teachers would incorporate them into their day. Would it be better to show up in person? Those things were discussed at the last meeting.
So everyone in the subcommittee's email can be found in the email that I sent out earlier today. But I mean, I don't know if you need me to. I know on that subcommittee it was So Cleary and Janelle and Beverly. So definitely, if there was anybody else, let me know if I omitted anybody. But if you all want me to. You probably could tell each other's emails because it's y'all name. You'll see it from the email.
I recognize.
So I don't know, maybe.
So Melanie, you're okay with us beginning a discussion via email back and forth, in that way?
Yeah, if that's how y'all want to do it,
Okay.
or y'all. Mm-hmm.
But that's the investigation I've done. The other members, I'm not familiar with their things to do list.
Mm-hmm. You said the other.
The other members of the subcommittee, I'm not familiar with their things to do list.
Okay. So I guess that's, something y'all will come up with together, which y'all decide. Of course, if you need anything, let me know, or I'll pop in if you'll want to have like a Zoom or something like that. We can do that too. Thank you, Beverly.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, y'all. So I know that Jackie Robinson subcommittee is really willing and able to make this happen. I sent you all out an email. So this is what's happening. As of right now, we've definitely been in contact with the Jackie Robinson complex. And when I say that, I'm referring to all the schools at 46 McKeever. How can I forget the address? 46 or 47?
46.
46. Thank you so much. 46 McKeever Place. And all the schools are on board for Jackie Robinson Day at 46 McKeever for his namesake. And so the situation is, we know from our last meeting that Good Friday is on April 15th. So we know we wouldn't be, doing anything around that time. So we did talk about making sure it's on a Saturday for the entire community to be able to have it. Now, the students are going to be out of school the week of, they'll be out of school that following week. And then they're going to be having testing. And at any rate, long story short, we were looking at April 9th. Let me make sure I have the date correctly. I'm sorry, I'm just making sure the date is correct. That's Saturday in April. Yes, Saturday, April 9th is, I don't want to scare anyone because I know that date looks very, very,
Close.
very soon. The subcommittee is going to continue to be meeting in regards to this. Yet the schools in the building are already looking into a permit for us to be able to move forward with the event. The auditorium is actually under construction, but we will be utilizing the gym for the sports. We've been in conversation with diverse organizations and as well as potential keynotes. But the subcommittee definitely needs to meet more to be able to share out more with the committee. And forgive me for my ums and my pauses. It's just I want the subcommittee to be able to meet more because I know that it's needed. But certainly, any questions that you all have that you all would want us to take back and things that you will want us to answer regarding this event, feel free to ask. If we don't know the answer, we'll get the answer and we'll be continuing to communicate. But right now, I just wanted to communicate that the date was thrown out there for April 9th, which is a Saturday. And the reason why we're still looking at April is because Jackie Robinson's, the National Day of celebration was April 15th. And so that's why. Yes, Miss Maureen.
I'm just wondering if April 9th is feasible.
I know it
I have
sounds
belief in your ability to pull it off and the committee's ability to pull it off, but I just wonder about the feasibility of it and if we might consider like pushing it back a week or
Yeah.
like past the 15th, or if everybody is set on having it on the 9th.
That's the first actual date besides Jackie Robinson Day that was put out there. And it was put out there because the students are going to be already out during Easter weekend. And then and then I understand that there's testing the following week as well. I don't know how that may or may not affect things. But in communication with the operations, that's the date that was the date that was shared.
Got it.
But we
Okay.
can certainly go back and see if there is additional dates.
I'll
as
get
well.
on board. If the date's April 9th, we'll make it happen.
For me, mostly I'm like, can we really get a permit in that timing? No, but if but they said
Oh, we got the superintendent on board, so that's not gonna be a problem.
That's
all
true.
right.
The permit won't be hard.
Okay.
The permit won't be hard.
Right, now let me ask one more question. Can you draw a picture of what it looked like for us last year so we know how to dream a little bit?
Yes. So last year, we just wanted to make something happen. Last year, it was a partnership with Threshold World Incorporated, Trailblazers, and Community Board 9. It was not an event that we're looking to put on. It was a trolley that met at Jackie Robinson School and took community members around learning the education surrounding Jackie Robinson. That's what happened last year. To put something on the date, and that happened on actual Jackie Robinson Day. It was a trolley because back in the 1940s, that was the method of transportation that was used, one of the methods of transportation for folks to be able to get to the baseball field. And so that's pretty much what happened last year. It was like an educational tour. This year, we're looking to put Jackie Robinson Day on the map in Crown Heights. We're looking to be able to have intentional Community Board 9 organizations with us as we celebrate and educate the community. So there's been conversation with the Langston League, which is an organization which educates through curriculum and facilitation of different historical facts and events. We've been in conversation with them, and they would be looking at educating K through 3, 3 through 6, and 6 through 8 in one rotation, in which they, students would learn more about Jackie Robinson and the fact that he did more than just baseball. But we don't have too much time for me to share all that right now. And then we're looking at, for the gym, the conversation so far has been the gym being sports, a makeshift baseball game where students actually learn baseball. Some of our students, and children are not really familiar with baseball. More of our children are familiar with basketball, or some of the other sports. And then there is, because the auditorium is inoperable, the cafeteria potentially, which is where, there would be lunch and there would be potential keynote speakers. And so it would be the subcommittee flushing this out a bit more with any additional partners that would want to maybe have a table that day. But it's intentional, so things relating to that. So the subcommittee would flesh this out a bit more to be able to present a bit more to the committee or share via email. So certainly I want everybody to be, if you can just make sure you check your emails at least once or twice a week, and, so that we can be seeing the emails and corresponding so that we can move forward. But right now, the date that we have is April 9th. If there's another date that you all would like for us to look at, let us know. But that's, I hate to have only thrown that out to you all, but that's
No, that's okay. What's the time frame y'all used last time?
11. Well, no, actually, it was in the evening. Actually, it happened after school, so it wouldn't be that time because that was like a 4 to 6 situation. So we can use the same timing that we did for like the book giveaway. We did like 11 to 2. I don't know
Okay.
if this one we want to do 11 to 2 or 11 to 4. You all let me know what do you all think? I know
Okay.
that's what we did for the book giveaway. We had like a 10 a.m. setup, and then we had like a 2 to 3 breakdown. We could do 11 to 2. I don't know. What do you all think about that for a Saturday?
Well, we'll meet with the committee. I wrote it down, and
Mhm.
we'll meet, and next time we meet again, we'll have something.
Mhm.
I know you said Trailblazers, and you said, what about the trolley? You think we could get the trolley again? Is that a cost in getting the trolley?
It's definitely a cost. So I can transparently tell you, Threshold World is my business that I have, and we do educational tours and different types of tours in the community. And so that was one that we did in sponsorship with Trailblazers. And Trailblazers is an organization in the community. They have like after school programs and summer programs
Right.
for students. And that actually, the executive director is actually a Real Peer Booms, which was actually our former chair of education. Okay, everyone.
Thank-
So anybody have any questions or anything you want us to consider? I know it's 8:29. I didn't mean to take up so much time with this. I just, it's hard not to, because I know we all want to know and we all want to share. We all want to, so it's all good. What else do we have? Oh, yes, I remember.
Calendar items.
Yes. Is there anything anybody wants to consider? Because we have April, we have May, and we have June. So we know April, we have Jackie Robinson Day. May is National Teachers Month. Well, not national. Is it? Yeah, it's national, right? So we might want to do something around that, acknowledging our teachers and such. And then there's June, which is the end of year, and that's the end of year celebration. I don't know if we're looking to do anything that we want to do as our committee itself in June. But as of right now, we have the Jackie Robinson event in April. We don't have anything set for May or June right now. Potentially, our subcommittee that's working to support the schools may come back with a date in May or June potentially. Well, I guess that's what we have left, right? So, this is just when we talk about that. So we know that tentatively that event would be in May or June. And so I guess we can just put that there as that placeholder. And then we know June is the end of year celebration with the board. So I don't think we're looking to do anything additional. You all can make me aware. Was there anything else that we discussed that we wanted to do in that time? Okay. I guess I can just, I know it's 8:31. Maureen, I know that the event that you're talking about and potential partnership with Exceed Charter School is in April as well. What date was that?
April 12th.
Okay, so that's April 12th. Okay, so that's something that we would be actually adding to our agenda, because I know you were looking for us to partnership, and we were saying that we wanted to look into what the partnership looked like. And I know you said you was going to be in contact with Soul, relating more of that. But again, if you can share what you need from the committee. I know you said you was looking. If you could just share again.
Sure. So it's a community town hall for focus on mental health. And so we're having a panel of mental health providers from around the neighborhood share, and Soul is going to be on the panel. And we have a range of folks who will be on the panel. One thing we don't have, or person we don't have, is anybody who's a mental health nurse. And so if you know of anyone, and actually we have a representative from the school joining the health committee meeting tonight, checking, I think she'll ask them as well. But if any of you know a mental health nurse who might be interested in something like this, who, works and serves the community, we'd love to have them on the panel. You can just let me know.
Okay. Awesome. Thank
I
you.
actually found somebody for you, but I'll send it to you, Ms. Lewis.
Okay, sure. And
Okay.
and Maureen's email is on the email that I sent out today too as well, just to
Okay.
make you aware just so that we can start becoming familiar with everyone. If no one minds, forgive me, I should probably just be clear. Is anyone on, well, you could just send me an email. I don't want to put anybody out there if anybody's uncomfortable with.
Maureen, I can send it directly to you if that's okay. I just don't want to step on toes.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you. So that's two events, and one that we're hosting and one that we are looking to potentially partner with for the month, because our vice chair is on the panel, y'all. Awesome. All right. Okay, what do we have next?
New business.
I don't have any new business right now. Does anybody have any new business?
I do have a little bit of new business.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of maybe just put a line item, and then maybe we could talk about it later.
Mm-hmm.
And we could talk offline probably. But I do want to have a opportunity to talk about a community conversation with our superintendent and how we can have a survey to, first of all, pilot a survey amongst ourselves to see what community school district 17 needs are. And we can roll it out with you guys' permissions and the superintendents. And there's some initiatives for parents and the parent coordinator. So that's all I'm gonna say about that for now. But I would like for us to just hear, because the schools are gonna open back up and parents are gonna get back out there. And I think we need to have this.
Are you muted yourself?
Oh, sorry about that. Got family community engagement so that we can really support our superintendent in her efforts. So that's it. That
Awesome.
would be in the new business.
Thank you. We can also compare that with the last items that were submitted regarding the community needs, and see if some of those items that were last presented are still needs as well, I guess, in comparison. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Anybody else for new business? All righty. What is next?
Public comment section.
All right, so we do not have a public comment section. Well, we do have Nicholas Armra on a line, on a call today, and I know that he is Nicholas Arminar with us, one of our other chairs. I want to definitely welcome you. We're over time, but I figured that might happen just a little bit. But I want to welcome you to greet everyone.
Well, thank you for the introduction and the welcome. I had to jump from one committee meeting to this one, even though I wanted to come in earlier because I wanted to go interact with the superintendent. And some of the activities you guys are talking about are right on point. That one of the people who originated the idea of the CB-wide event in June, late May, early June. So we're still working on a date, and hopefully we'll be done. At the last conversation I had, I say we definitely will know in 2 weeks, and that's what everybody wants to know. And especially, I was really interested in the situation mental health, because at the youth committee meeting on Monday, that was a huge discussion, trying to get a lot of mental health services to the high school level students. So a reach out to the chair, Primo Lasana, would be of great importance to find out how we could coordinate all those activities together. So because we're, and one of the plans is that at the June or early light meeting is to have as many agencies, especially agencies that address the youth in terms of mental health, housing, and all that other stuff, be present to be able to for the youth to make connection. You did say something that truly attracted my attention in one of your activities. You were talking about the virtual DJ. Can you explain a little bit more on that?
Oh, that's Miss Beverly Newsom.
All right, Ms. Newsom. Well, because one of the ideas that pop up in my mind for that Junewide agent is to do in some kind of a competition where we'll get judges and let the youth present their music and the judge will award a prize to youth that could come with the best set of soca music, calypso music, hip hop, compa, etc., etc.
You should have been on the phone with the borough, with the superintendent, because that's what she said. Didn't she say that she want the arts programs to be in our communities with dance, and so she kind of put that on blast as something that she wanted to do in the community.
I guess he had to.
He busy.
That just made me tickle. But I guess he had to run to something right quick. But he's definitely usually very attentive, and he'll probably look back at the at the YouTube as well. But he probably can still hear us as well, so it's all good. So yes, Nicholas is our member at large for Community Board 9, and he's definitely very much involved, and so we're grateful to him, of course, for popping in tonight's meeting as well. Was there anything else? What do we have next?
Just prep board to exec full board.
Yes, I believe there was one other thing that I was going to say, but I honestly don't recall what it is right now. So I'm just going to say that what happens next is I report out to our committee, excuse me, to our executive committee. Our Mr. Nicholas Almanor actually sits on that executive committee as well because he's a member at large. But I report out what happened here to our executive committee meeting. Forgive me, Ms. Vice Chair. Certainly, I'll make sure that you're aware of that date so that you are welcome to join me, of course, as well. And preparing for that meeting just means that I'm going to pretty much be reporting out what happened at this meeting and the dates that have been shared and the initiatives and things of that sort for the most part. So that's what that prep looks like. We also have to prepare the minutes to be sent from this meeting as well to the community board. Today is March 3rd. We have about maybe 2 weeks to be able to submit those minutes, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
can send them tonight.
Oh, bless your heart. Awesomeness. Yes. It feels so good to have a full team. I'm telling you. I remember what I was going to say. Mr. Dexter Roberts is on the line, and y'all know I like to hear his voice, and for him to say hello or something. So, I would be remiss if we get off this call today and we didn't get a greeting from our Mr. Dexter Roberts, our community media person. So Dexter Roberts does our Instagram. So if you're not following on our Instagram at CB9 Education, make sure you're following at CB9 Education. I'm not sure if are you still with us, Dexter?
I am. How
Yeah,
you doing?
there he is, y'all.
I was a little bit silent because while I'm in this meeting, I'm also in a funeral.
You said you was
So I'm doing two things at the same time.
Yes.
Yes, my uncle passed away. I was supposed to travel tonight, but they ended up putting the funeral for today, which is Sunday. It was supposed to be Sunday, but they changed the date to today. So I just decided to do it on Zoom. So I went to the studio actually to do a video to send, which I just sent to them, and I was just watching my own self. I think I like myself.
Dexter, you have our condolences, peace and
Thank
love
you.
to you and your family.
Yeah.
You know, certainly on behalf of the board, we certainly share our condolence to you, and certainly peace and love to you all during this time, for sure.
Thank you.
We're always
Yep,
happy to
yep,
make
yep.
sure we hear your voice on the line. You know, it's not a meeting if, you know, the meeting is not complete unless we hear Dexter Roberts' voice.
Thank
All
you,
right.
thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
So y'all remember, make sure y'all follow CB9 Education, our Dexter Roberts. You know, he'll post our flyers. So let's make sure when we're you know, doing our events that we're sharing those flyers so that he can post them. The meeting is about to be adjourned. If there's anyone that has anything else to say, speak now, forever hold your peace, even though it's not on the agenda, but you know how we do. Is all hearts and minds clear? All right, everyone, hearing nothing.
Amen.
See, thanks so much, everyone. Thanks so much for all of you, all that you do. Together, everyone achieves more for our community. Have a great evening and be checking your emails. Thanks so much, all of you, and have a great evening.
You as well. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, have a good night.